G'day, Bomber fans. I apologise. I know it's another trade update. I was actually getting ready to record a video going into detail about pick 9 and what we're going to do with it, and I will still do that over the weekend. I was just far too tired after work to be reading out numbers over and over again, and we have had some trade news. None of it good, by the way. I feel like yesterday when you're watching this, it was just a super frustrating day all round for Essendon. There were no trades getting completed, but also just clubs trolling the Bombers. You got to feel bad for Rosa. He comes in after Dodoro, and it feels like clubs are holding a grudge still. Maybe they think it's Dodoro's son. I kind of get that. They look a bit related. They both have dark hair. That's about it. But anyway, trade update. Let's get into it. Let's start with Conor Stone. So as I was getting ready to upload my recent trade update, the one before this one, news broke that he was re-signing with GWS. He was clearly wanting opportunity and game time. That was the driving force behind his decision. And with Perryman and Cumming leaving the club, Stone clearly thinks he'll be getting game time, which is fair. He's had that 2-year contract on the table from GWS for the best part of 4 months. He's waited till day 3 of the trade period to sign it. We had met with him. I believe it was last week we met with him. We discussed the potential of a trade, but Stone is staying put. This means finding a trade with Stringer probably gets a tiny bit easier, which I'll get to in a second, but it would have been good to bring in a young fringe player this trade period. And with Stone being signed up, it doesn't seem like that is going to happen. Things can change, but what won't change is Conor Stone being with the Giants next year. The interest was there, and it was real, but he will be a Giant. Okay, so Jake Stringer, this one is going to be an annoying one. He wants to go to GWS. They seem to want him. It's yet to be confirmed that is happening. There are ongoing trade talks. They began last weekend, but the Giants are still conducting some behind-the-scenes checks on Stringer to make sure they really want him at the club before getting a deal done. It's looking like a trade will try to be agreed upon at least. Talks have already started. Here's where it gets messy though. So GWS want to give away pick 56 and they're not willing to give up more than pick 53 according to Tom Morris. Essendon obviously want more, but the next best pick that GWS have is 37, which is, in my opinion, far too high for a veteran with off-field issues. Yes, he kicked 42 goals, but yes, he's contracted, but there's a reason why the club is trying to force him out. So finding a good value pick for him seems really hard, and Rosa has even hinted at Stringer potentially staying at the club if a deal can't get done, which obviously isn't ideal. You don't say you've played your last game for the club if you really want to stay. So ideally this gets done, and it's looking like pick 53 may be enough. I know it doesn't really sound like enough to us fans, but there are some that believe pick 53 may be all that is required. There's a tiny bit of chatter about GWS potentially moving up the draft order in this deal. I'll talk about that in a second, moving up the draft order, but pick 9, they are linked to that, well, they've been linked to that in the last day, just a bit, not as much as another team that I'll talk about. So that could be involved in this trade, moving up the draft order and getting Jake Stringer, which gives us more draft capital. I think that's less likely, but this one is an interesting one. I'm going to leave it to you guys in the comments to discuss. Do you think we should give away Stringer for pick 53, or should we hold him to his contract until the right price comes? Keep in mind, this isn't confirmed to be happening yet, but it's looking extremely more likely by the day. Every day that goes by with these trade talks makes a trade more likely, but there's still a bit to play out. Pick 9, little update here. So we obviously are looking at ways to combat that early Kako bid. One option was trading up the order. It appears that we will not be doing that, or we're not going to be doing that. It's just too expensive to move up the order this year, especially if you only have 2 picks like we currently do. So we won't be moving higher up this year's draft order. That is, it's all been confirmed by Rosa himself. He spoke to Trade Radio and said as much. I know this was the popular option with fans, it's a quick fix, but I don't mind what we're doing. To move up the order, you would have to just ruin another draft hand, and our draft hand this year is already so hard to salvage from missing a 3rd and a 4th rounder. It would be a lot worse next year if we were moving up the order this year. I'll explain it more in my upcoming Pick 9 video, but to sum it up, I just think moving up the order would cost far, far too much. Now, what we will be doing instead, clubs are coming hard for Pick 9, so we'll be listening to offers. One club that really wants Pick 9 is Melbourne, and the good news with having Pick 9 is it means clubs are trying to move up the order to get it. And I said before, moving up the order is expensive. Well, it means trading away high picks gets you quite a bit back. So Melbourne could be potentially willing to trade away their future first round selection and more to get our Pick 9 in this year's draft. And that not only gives us more fuel next year, but it also allows us to match a bid on Kako this year. That is one option. The other is, and this is an interesting one, we take pick 9 to the draft. We have something worked out with a club beforehand, so if a bid was to come on Kako, we simply finalise the trade that we have worked out to match the bid on Kako. We trade pick 9 away to a team who wants it and get future capital in return. It does sound a bit stressful, but it isn't a horrible shout. You don't have to get everything done during the trade period. If we hold on to pick 9, call St Kilda's Kako bluff, there is every chance we walk away with a player taken before the Kako bid comes. That is the best case scenario. And if not, we have a trade planned out before, let's say with Melbourne even, we tell them before the draft that we will be willing to trade pick 9 for future capital and some other later picks if a bid for Kako comes, and then we finalise it on the night when we're on the clock for a Kako bid. There's every chance we do that, and it's not a bad call at all. It's a stressful one, but I don't hate it. We might be talking about pick 9 for weeks if this is the case. The trade period could end and we could still have pick 9 on our books, not knowing when a bid will come. The Saints could apparently bid for Kako earlier, but it doesn't mean they will. They may just be doing this to ensure we're more likely to trade away pick 9 if they want it. It's all mind games. It's not pretty. It's business, and sometimes the best option is to just wait and see, but only if we have a concrete plan if a bid comes. In short, to sum up me yapping on, pick 9, who knows what's happening, but clubs really do want it, and it means we probably get a lot back in return for it. Dylan Shiel, now he's staying put. Nothing's going to happen there unless there is a big backflip. GWS were interested. The interest was minimal, less than Stringer, and it was really only because they had some names potentially on the way out. But now with Stone, O'Halloran, and Wade Dirksen staying at the Giants, there is no need to bring another player in. They're just going to attack the draft instead, and fair enough. Can't blame them. It would have been good to offload Shiel, but he will likely stay put till 2025 to see out his contract. That is unless another club comes to the table, but it's too late for that, I reckon. Matt Rosa has said for a few days now that he sees Shield with us next year, so I think we can just rule a line through this one. Okay, and some quick fire trade updates before I go. So Matt Rosa has said that the Bombers will be looking to take 3 to 4 players in the upcoming national draft. One will be Isaac Kako, one potentially could be Jaden Ewan, who I'll talk about more in the coming weeks, another academy kid. It means we're likely to take probably at most 2 players in the open draft, so that gives us an idea. It also seems like we are going to keep a list spot open for the delisted free agency period. It may mean that Wiedemann, Setterfield, and Davey have a nervous wait till then. They're all yet to be delisted, but it seems like one could be if it meant we could bring in another player in return, or even free up another draft spot. And now our second round pick swap that was supposed to be happening, it's still on the cards, but taking a back step with all the pick 9 talk. Carlton was a contender, but that was when they were knee deep in that Houston chase. They aren't in that anymore, so we may have to swap second rounders with another team. That is swapping a current second rounder for our future second rounder. And finally, just touching on this, but Jacob Constanti, he's a fringe Sydney forward. Just a tiny little watch on him and whether or not we approach him as a delisted free agent. I'm hearing his name pop up a little bit in the last day or two. I don't know if there's anything really noteworthy here. That's why I'm not including it in the main video, but I just thought I'd include it in case anything comes late. Alright, and that is that. Cheers for watching, guys. I promise that is the last trade update till next week, and that's when it really kicks off. Stay tuned for a pick 9 video tomorrow, or maybe Sunday, because the AFL review will be up tomorrow. Cheers for watching though. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.